Hello, everyone. Let me know if you see me. Should be live, streaming in to the Fierce Woman community. And if you are catching me now or later, definitely drop your name. I definitely want to know who is with me. If you're on YouTube, also drop your name and let me know if you're watching there. I love to say a hello to you. I see 8 eyeballs have popped in to join me. All right, let me just make sure. Okay, so super popular live, about 60 requests, probably more than that, 70 requests to watch this live or replay. I see Tina's here, Dana. Oh, good to see you, Dana. I know we just chatted yesterday. Carrie, awesome. 23 eyeballs and climbing. So awesome, super awesome to see all of you. So if you are here with me, please drop your name so we know who you are. And this is a super popular live. I knew it would be because this is the most requested topic over the last 3 years that I've been online coaching a menopausal woman. So this tells me this is probably the biggest concern and is the biggest thing that a lot of women struggle with. And even if you don't struggle with a big belly, you struggle with excess fat that you don't want, which is very typical of menopausal women. So hi, Jennifer, good to see you. Cynthia from Texas, awesome. And Sonia, awesome. All right, make sure you guys drop a hello below. Oh yes, and I need to just make sure I tag everyone. Yes. Make sure there's there. Okay, awesome. I see Lisa. Awesome. All right. So if you are just joining us, this is the Fierce Woman community where we sculpt powerful bodies and champion mindsets. I know we accepted 35 to maybe 50 new members into this group. So I know there's a lot of new people here. So very excited to have you with us. All right. So we're going to get into some wins first, and then we are going to dive into it. Okay. So in terms of our wins, we just have very exciting news that a lot of women are finally taking the plunge. They're tired of being infobeasts. They're tired of just like listening and gathering information, and they want to take action. And so great to see that. I want to give a shout out to these 4 ladies who have all joined the transformation program in just the last week. Our transformation program is our highest level custom program on how to reduce fat, particularly belly fat, and build strong sculpted muscles. So please give a shout out and lots of hearts to these 4 ladies: Rosalind Blondell Timmerman, Stacy Carpenter, Marisol Solorio, and Dana Conley, who is just on here right now. So all 4 ladies have decided to make major changes in their life. So super proud of you. I know that the transformation program is highly customized and very, very specific. So I know you guys are really going for the results there. Hi, Diana. Good to see you. And Tracy, awesome. And Rosanens is here. Woohoo! I just gave you a shout out. I also want to give a shout out to 3 ladies that have moved from the 21-day anti-inflammation system to pre-registering for the next group coaching program, which is kind of our group version of the transformation program, where you're kind of working with a bunch of ladies together. So give a shout out to Sandy Kessinger, Wanda Mercury, and Sarah Daniel. They have all pre-registered into the next FFF program, which we're super, super pumped for them, as I know like all the ladies in the FFF program right now are experiencing changes in their belly. I was watching their photos from last week, and it's just awesome to see you guys' belly coming down as well. So give those ladies lots of hearts. Very exciting. So many new people are taking charge of their future. So awesome. I see more people have jumped in. Thank you for all the hearts and celebrations. Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much for congratulating them. And Karen, Rachel, I see you. Jackie, I see you. And Kat, yes, Kat says transformation program is a great investment. Thank you. Kat went through the transformation program and then the muscle accelerator. And I want you to know it says investment because it is an investment that will return many folds to you. So Super excited. We have 30 eyeballs on here. So let's dive into the secret formula to get the top secrets to your flat stomach. Now, if you follow me for a long time, I always sound like a broken record because I don't really feel like it's actually different, but I'm going to describe the formula to you, but everything I say is super consistent because I have done it over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women, and I know that this formula works, okay? And so I'm going to describe it to you, but remember one thing I'm going to say to all 40 eyeballs on here is this is not about gathering just information. It's about acknowledging and knowing it, but then you need to know how to apply it. That is the most important thing. No info pieces, please. Make sure that you actually learn how to apply this, right? Can you guys all just put the word apply down there so I know we're not having info pieces on here and just people just gathering more information every single time, but not doing anything with it. And that is the danger of teaching. When you teach, the dangers, people can just try to gather information. So can you put apply? So I know you guys are ready to apply, not just to gather information, okay? Jennifer says apply, Kamiko says apply. Awesome, awesome. Tracy, awesome. This is great. Diana, Karen, Rachel, awesome. I love this. All right, okay. So the first thing, this is kind of in sequence, okay? So the first thing I always talk about, and those of you who just joined my transformation program would call it pillar number 1, is reduce chronic inflammation in your body. Okay, so this is extremely important. Why is this very important for particularly menopausal women or women your age between 45 to 65 or above? Is because you are going through so many hormonal changes in your body, okay? This is one of the biggest reasons because there's a lot of systemic things happening that is causing your inflammation. I'm going to go through a number of reasons why you are going to be susceptible to high inflammation in your body at this age. But first of all, I want you, all of you, to identify if you are struggling with inflammation, okay? Because this is extremely important. I would say about 80 to 90%, maybe 80% would be struggling with inflammation unless they already have been on an incredible health track. They're health coaches. They understood a lot about nutrition beforehand. But if not, most women this age experience something like this. I'm going to name off some of these symptoms, and I want you to tell me and put inflammation below if you believe you struggle with inflammation, okay? And maybe, you know, put what specific things you're struggling with as I go through it. So if you struggle with inflammation, hi, Portia, good to see you, and Rita and Tanya, awesome. Okay, so if you struggle with puffiness, redness in skin, breakouts, frequent bloating, that's a lot of women, digestive issues, a lot of digestive issues, fatigue, pain, joint pain, muscle aches, swelling, you have inflammation. There's more. I'm just stopping just to get you guys to have like your head wrap around it. So if you believe you have experienced some of that, puffiness, redness, breakouts, fatigue, pain, muscle aches, general discomfort in your body, you probably have inflammation. So if you do, I want you to put inflammation below or what you struggle with. There's more. If you constantly get sick, then you also potentially are struggling with inflammation. If you have psoriasis or eczema, skin conditions, probably you have inflammation. If you have more sensitivity to foods that you never had before, more allergic, well, not necessarily allergic, but sensitivity reactions to foods you never had before, it's a big sign you potentially are struggling with inflammation. And in terms of that, just a quick side note, you know, little information bits for you is if you have leaky gut syndrome, which comes from eating high inflammatory things, that means things can pass through the villi of your stomach, which is the barrier, and then that moves into your bloodstream. When those things move into your bloodstream, your body goes into high alert, and then it will start sending out all the signals to let you know that it's allergic or like sensitive to it when you never used to be sensitive to it. This is why inflammation could lead to more sensitivity of food. So I see inflammation, eczema, bloating. Yeah, people are acknowledging like what is inflaming their body. I see lots of inflammation, bloating, joint pain. Exactly. I'm going to keep going. There's more. If you have high blood pressure indicates usually high inflammation of your blood vessels, which leads to hypertension. You don't need to be overweight to have high blood pressure. We know that, right? A couple of you who have spoken to me, you're not overweight, but you're still on high blood pressure pills. You have inflammation of your blood vessels. So if you have high blood pressure, if you have weight gain, and unexplained weight gain, a lot of times that's related to inflammation because of the different signals in your body. Chronic inflammation, actually, yes, Rosalind. I didn't want to say the name, but you're honest. Yes, Rosalind is not overweight, but she is on high blood pressure medication. So just a note, you do not have to be overweight to be hypertension, right? So, chronic inflammation, why weight gain is part of it, affects appetite and fat storage, right? Hi, Marcella, good to see you. And so if you have weight gain or unexplained weight gain, related to inflammation, because it can affect your appetite and affect fat storage. Okay. There's more. Okay. This list goes a long ways down. This is why this is number one. We have to address this pillar. We have to, if this is what you like, you're struggling with belly fat, unexplained fat gain at this age, which is most of you, then this is why. Look at how many things inflammation affects. If you have high blood sugar, that is also a big sign of inflammation. High blood sugar impairs your insulin response, and it creates, well, sugar, creates inflammation, kind of releases like cytokines and things like that. More mood changes. If you're moody, 43 eyeballs. If you're moody, you have mood swings, you have potentially inflammation. Because inflammation, those of you who did my inflammation course, it affects the gut-brain axis, huge amount of relation to the way you feel, your mood changes, how moody you get. I know we just talked, Dana, yesterday about the mood changes. Huge indicator that you potentially are having inflammation. It is related. I'm not saying this is the only thing. I'm just saying it's related to depression, anxiety, and cognitive problems. Okay. And so if I'm naming off things that you're like, this is me, put it down below and put inflammation or what you're struggling with. Inflammation affects autoimmune diseases, and conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and multiple sclerosis are all characterized by chronic inflammation. Okay, so this is really important, because is there a genetic component to rheumatoid arthritis and some of these autoimmune diseases? Absolutely, there is a genetic factor, but there is something that's called epigenetics, okay? Epigenetics means that you are given a certain genetic. However, the way you utilize your environments and your lifestyle factors will turn on the code or turn off the code. And so therefore, it is still a huge part of your lifestyle factors that affects the expression of a lot of these chronic conditions, right? Rachel says all that you've mentioned. Yeah. And Jennifer has Hashimoto's. Yes, I know. And hi, Deborah, and hi, Lisa. And so there's more, two more. You also potentially, if you have inflammation, will experience cardiovascular issues. Cardiovascular issues come from chronic inflammation of the blood vessels, okay? And elevated markers of inflammation, such as C-reactive protein, are particularly high in individuals that have chronic cardiovascular problems, okay? So, and respiratory problems. Okay, so the list is super long. How many of you, 44 eyeballs here, believe you struggle with inflammation? I want you to put inflammation below if you believe you struggle with inflammation. Okay. Hi, Connie. Good to see you. And Silver or Sylvia and Connie. If you believe you struggle with inflammation, put it below. And I would say that a lot of people will say, I struggle with menopausal symptoms. I'm going to challenge you to say, is it truly menopausal symptoms, or is it because you have not addressed inflammation? all 49 eyeballs. This is probably one of the highest we've had for a while. Probably from that list, I'm saying that you're probably struggling with inflammation. But what I will say, look at a gazillion inflammation right now. I can't even count anymore. So many inflammation coming in. But probably what's happening is menopause and the shifts in hormone now exacerbates that situation now. So it's like 5 to 10 times worse. Okay. Hi, Diana. Good to see you. Woohoo, I'm glad you made it. Hi, Pamela. Yes, I know you know about inflammation a lot. And so, yes, and Debbie, awesome. Good to see you. So many. Thank you, everyone. I can't read off everybody, but everybody's saying inflammation right now. So this is why I put us out there. This is the number one thing you need to address. And I have talked to doctors. And they have, Debbie, you were one of the ones who shared with me about how doctors are confirming this inflammation marker situation is not addressed a lot. And people go, oh, you're just in menopause. Oh, you're just experiencing menopause. But I'm telling you, it is related to inflammation. If you don't address it, this is why you continue to struggle with a belly and you feel horrible. You feel all these night sweats and mood swings. I'm not saying you won't experience those, but it probably would be like very little or much less mitigated, like, or much less severe. Is that the word? Right? So yeah, Sandy did the inflammation course. And so Sandy says much better after doing my course. And now Sandy's going into the FFF group program. Portia says with me, I believe it's inflammation more than menopause. When I cleaned up my eating, my menopausal symptoms are leaving. So you guys all see what Portia said there. Portia did my inflammation program. And she said, oh, all the things I thought I experienced that was menopause was actually inflammation. Now it's correcting itself, right? And yes, and Debbie said a physician said that about the inflammation, exactly. Okay, so we have identified this is the number one thing we need to address, okay? So let's talk a little bit about why this is happening, okay? Why is inflammation so severe at this age and the 40, 50, 60s? And if you don't address it, well, I believe this is my belief, and this is through experience of coaching hundreds of women, is you are taking away the foundation of what you're doing. You can do everything above, go work out and do other stuff, which I will talk about. But this foundation, if it's not right, you're just not going to get the results that you want. So I wanted to give you 7 reasons why you are experiencing higher inflammation at this point. And Dana, if you're on here it is. You know, she's like, I need to know the why. I'm like, oh, you are talking to the right person. I love knowing the why of the why and hormones. Okay, so yes, Samita said, I feel it's a balance of inflammation, nutrition, and stress. Yes, we're going to get there for sure about those things. Hi, Diana. And Tracy says, inflammation, joint pain on osteoarthritic leg, proactive prescription. Yes. And I know you said inflammation has decreased immensely since FFF and joining MA. Yes, exactly, Tracy. And still some things, right? Because you've kind of gone off kilter, which we'll talk a little bit more about. Okay, let's jump back here. All right, reason number 1, okay, of why you experience higher inflammation is because your estrogen is declining. Estrogen is anti-inflammatory. It is the protection for you against inflammation. And when that starts to leave, your body actually loses its inflammation protection. And then what ends up happening is the lower estrogen levels actually creates an increase in pro-inflammatory cytokines. Then this actually starts a cycle of inflammation. Okay. So right away, you guys already know that's like, it's part of life. You're going to decrease this estrogen. So your whole body is in more of a state of natural inflammation. Okay. So number 1. Number 2, yes, Sylvia says she believes it's more of an inflammation issue. Exactly. Number 2, estrogen plays a major role in your immune system. And so when estrogen starts to decline, your immune system actually shifts a little bit. And that shift actually makes you just like in a more inflamed state, like it promotes pro-inflammatory responses. So because of the shift in the hormone, it actually like pushes your immune system up, which you don't want your immune system to constantly be like in like battle mode. But the fact is your hormones are dropping and it's pushing that immune system up, creating more pro-inflammatory immune response. Okay. So number two. Number three, why you have more inflammation in your body is because at this age, you will gain more weight, especially visceral fat, belly fat. Why? Again, it connects to hormones. When your estrogen starts to drop, your androgen hormones, testosterone, and other hormones in relation to that is higher. When that ratio shifts, okay, your entire distribution of fat shifts, meaning your fat distribution no longer goes around your hips and your butt, because a lot of women lose their butt at this age and they're like, I don't know what happened, because all that fat just goes right to your center. And that you can thank your hormone shifting and actually redistributing it to your center. So that hormone shift really affects where you centralize that fat. Although I will say that you won't put belly fat on if you ate properly, which we're getting to. But if it's just that you have excess fat, where does the excess fat go? Before, you may not have noticed it because it was on your butt or your hip, but now you notice it on your belly. Okay. Yeah. And then number four is why you have more inflammation is because at this age, you also become more likely to have insulin resistance. This is very prominent in a lot of women I coach, not all, but a lot of women I coach have higher degrees of potential insulin resistance. What does insulin resistance mean? It means you don't want to lose your butt, Kat. Exactly. You definitely don't. Hi, Felicia, and hi, Annie, Kat. But that's why you're here. You're always learning. You're always bettering yourself, right? But that's a lot of women lose their butt as they age, and there's a reason to that. So you're more insulin resistant. So what does insulin resistance mean? Insulin resistance means that your body cannot respond to the insulin hormone as well. What does the insulin hormone do? The insulin hormone allows or sends a signal to the cell to open its gate and then allow sugar in. Okay. This is important because otherwise, if the gates don't open, where does the sugar stay? The sugar stays in your bloodstream. Okay, so this is why insulin resistance eventually leads to prediabetes and potentially type 2 diabetes. Insulin resistant does not mean you're type 2 or pre-diabetic yet, but it could mean you're well on your way. And so this is why at this age, you have to be very good with your nutrition. You have to understand your nutrition very well. You need to know what you're putting in your body and like addressing what causes inflammation in your system. It's why I am such a stickler on it. I know I'm super on top of that, like for my clients, but it's because there's so much behind it. And the ones who currently have a belly, even including some of my clients who are working at it, we were just talking, I think, Lynn, if you're on here, just about how she doesn't function well with too much carbs, right? Because the insulin resistance is there. So being aware is really important. A couple other things, bone health. So in terms of your inflammation response, the decline in estrogen during menopause means potential bone loss. You guys all know that, right? Those red circles. Yeah, when I am circling and say, send me this information on your food, right? So the decline in estrogen at this point actually causes your bone to kind of resorption, which is, means like the bone loss, and that actually causes inflammatory response as well. So there's a lot, there's more. How many of you have hot flashes and night sweats? Hot flashes and night sweats are called vasomotor symptoms. Who has hot flashes and night sweats? Hi, Wanda, good to see you. Hi, Melody. Hi, Jeannie. If you have hot flashes or night sweats, you can put it below, but this is associated with changes in your vascular function, and it is related to higher inflammation in your system. So Cynthia, you have hot flashes or night sweats. Thank you for being honest. And Diana, I know resonance, you told me about hot flashes. This is related to inflammation of the vessels. And so this is connected to inflammation, of course, exacerbated by menopause, but it is caused by inflammation, right? So again, there's these reasons of why you're experiencing it. And Diana, you have that too, exactly. I have one more to say now. This could be a little bit controversial. We are at 50. Woohoo! Everybody give me some celebration. This is like the most we've had for a long time on one live, which is awesome. 50 eyeballs, 51. Wow, we're climbing the numbers. All right, so the hormone replacement therapy. I want to talk a little bit about this. It's a little controversial. And so I'm just going to say, you see your doctor for it. If you feel like it's the best approach, you go for it. But there is some studies done that HRT, depending on what you use, can actually affect the inflammation in your system. It can help you a little bit in your hormones and rebalancing. I totally get that, but it can actually cause and trigger inflammation in your system, which is why I always say, I much prefer, if we can, sometimes you can't, and I totally understand, I much prefer use a natural approach to bring down inflammation versus using a lot of procedures and different things like that. I prefer that. I'm not saying like, it's never black and white. Like sometimes people really do need the medical situation, right? I just want you to know. Yeah, 50 eyeballs. Exactly, Tracy. Thank you. And Sandy, night sweats, not as many hot flashes as you used to. Exactly. After the 21-day program, you're probably better. So yeah, if you are on HRT, hey, cool, talk to your doctor. But just so you know, sometimes HRT can trigger inflammation in your system, okay? And so after talking about all of this, and so many of you say you are struggling with inflammation, and I just spoke about 7 reasons potentially why you have inflammation in your system. So the first step is actually reducing chronic inflammation, which means you need to identify all the inflammatory markers in your food and take that out of your food regime. 21-day transformation clients, MA clients, you all know what I'm talking about. All those red circles, if you went through the course, you know, all those modules we did, you know, I talk about so many inflammatory markers and things you never even thought about. Is this right? Like Sandy Kessinger, you're on here. Wanda, I don't know if you're on here. When you went through the course, you're just like, I had no idea. You know, literally they had pictures like, I used to eat this. I guess that's going out the door, not this, you know, like they never even realized how many secret culprits are in there. And I said to Dana yesterday, 56, new record, guys, 56 eyeballs. So I said to Dana yesterday, because she went to transformation program, it's like the secret criminals, you know, they're undercover. You don't know they're there, but they're creating lots of havoc in the community and you don't even know it. However, when you start eliminating them and you start like cleaning up the system and you start to like identify the criminals, you know, like put the wanted poster on those inflammatory markers, you know, put the wanted poster, your body actually starts to know. How many of you who have done my programs before was like, as soon as I ate something bad that I thought I used to eat, I never got sick. I got so sick. I have so many clients who have told me that. They're like, how come I never got sick eating this before? Or I never felt so sick before. I was like, well, you put the wanted poster out, you cleaned up your system, and now your body knows exactly what are the secret criminals that have been causing you havoc in your system, right? So hopefully that makes sense. I know I'm joking around a little bit, but like it's actually true. Because if you ever clean up your system completely of inflammatory markers and you go back to trying to eat the other way, it's horrible. You realize your body does not like it, right? Yes. Hi, Jennifer. Good to see you. And I see lots of like, you know, like celebration emojis. Yep. The criminals wreak havoc. Exactly. And Kat says, I got sick from bad foods for sure. Exactly. And Pamela as well, who went through my program as well, who knows, like if you go on the backwards to those inflammatory markers, your body's high alert cops are now on them. Right. So here's the thing is there's a lot of inflammatory markers, and I feel like the list goes on and on and on. It could be like over 100, I feel like, different types of inflammatory markers. The thing is, you have to learn it, and you have to learn to identify them. And what I will say is there's like big inflammatory markers that I feel like affect most people, but some are kind of in the mid range. Rosinance, you're on here, and I know that I forgot her name. She asked about, and this is just like a one-off kind of like, as I'm not going to name off 100 ingredients on this live, right? But like citric acid. Most people would never think citric acid is inflammatory, but if you actually look into it, it could be inflammatory, but it may not be for everyone. So this is where you have to work with a coach who understands like what's going on and tracking what's going on, because what affects your system could be very different from someone else. But there are major inflammatory markers you need to learn. And then there are the ones in between. With Rosinance, I said to her, okay, let's hold off on your citric acid first. Yes, Jennifer took out her citric acid, and your fingers were like, was it your fingers? Can't remember. You're like, wow, oh my goodness, it's such a big difference. But these are the things I'm trying to tell you is like, you probably never even thought about citric acid. I'm telling you, there are hundreds of inflammatory markers in your food, and this is why you need to learn it. This is the most important foundation if you want to be healthy for long-term longevity and not get chronic condition, to decrease the rate of your aging, because chronic conditions is what takes a lot of people out as they age, right? So if you know you want to learn more about inflammatory markers, put inflammatory markers below, okay? Put inflammatory markers below. Yeah, Jennifer, now you could bend your thumb after I took that out, right? So put inflammatory markers if you feel like you need to learn more about this, and this is very foundation to your future. So citric acid creates inflammation. It has a lot of different reasons that it can create inflammation in your system, but it is also, there's natural citric acid in like fruit too. So it's not always all bad. It depends how it's used and not the severity, the frequency in how you use it. So there's more to it, right? What I'm trying to tell you, why I brought up one, because I know if I bring up any ingredient right now, we can be here for 10 hours. I mean, you guys who went through my course, I mean, it'd be 10 hours of teaching you guys on this stuff. Like every ingredient has a reason why it creates some sort of situation in your body, a lot of times relating to your gut biome. But yeah, so if you want to learn more about inflammatory markers, definitely put it below. I see lots: Pam, Sumita, Cynthia, Natalie, Rita, Wanda, Karen, and Diana. Awesome. And there's probably more above: Trina, Marcella. Awesome. So just make sure you guys check your messages afterwards, because we are going to reach out to you, because you're indicating you want some help with that. All right, so that's the first step. Number 2, okay, it goes in order, remember. So first you need to address inflammation. Then the next is you need to understand and get the right calories and macros, okay? The right calories and macros. So let's talk a little bit about why this is really important, okay? Having the right caloric range, okay, is going to help your body be in a position to body recomposite, okay? So what does body recomposition mean? It means lose fat and build muscle. This is very tricky, as I mentioned yesterday, Dana, to you on the call, because we're doing 2 signals at once. People will sometimes argue, no, you can't do 2 signals. You can either just gain or lose. But it's been obviously studied, and you can. It's just how you do it has to be super specific. If you want to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time, your calories have to be in a certain range. And that certain range is what's going to help you have the right signals, but it's different for everybody. Now, the difficulty is that sometimes with women who are overweight or have belly fat or excess fat, they will tend towards eating less. They don't eat as much food And I know I talked to many of you who's like, I know I don't eat enough, and 900 calories, 1,000 calories, 1,100 calories, like you guys don't eat enough. Okay. This is very, very detrimental. Most women I know sometimes you could overeat because you're eating fun foods, but I find a lot of the struggle with women is eating less. This is very dangerous for your body because your hormones are already a little bit out of whack based on what I said in pillar 1. Now you are playing with not having enough calories in your system, which would put your system into starvation mode or storage mode. Okay. What does this have to do with it? What does this have to do with what I'm speaking about? Okay. If you think about it, if your body does not get the right amount of calories, what hormone is actually secreted at that point? Cortisol, stress hormone, and cortisol being secreted tells your body to do what? Store. So we had to have the right background and understanding behind this is if you don't eat enough and you don't have the right caloric range. I have known so many women who need to lose another 50 pounds, 30 pounds, and they don't eat enough calories. It's the craziest thing. I mean, I've had conversations with guys, with my sisters who say, it doesn't make sense. Like, isn't it just if they don't eat, they just will lose weight? Like, doesn't it mathematically make sense? And I'm like, no, because there's exponential factors related to hormone, right? Exactly. So Mita says Tracy says cortisol resulting in craving and fat storage. Exactly. And Portia says cortisol. Debbie says cortisol. It's that you're creating a wrong signal. So this is why I'm saying you need to have the right calories, because you don't want to play on these, like eating too little or eating too much. I mean, maybe there's a rare case someone's eating way too much. So you need to have the right caloric range to make sure you have the right hormone balance. Okay. Now, before I go on to macros, how many of you know you don't eat enough? Put below if you know you don't eat enough. I know Sumita, that's you, but you said me, but maybe put don't eat enough. If you don't eat enough, that should be a red alarm going off in your head right now. Okay, red alarm. Yeah, we're having this CSI theme going on, like criminals and the wanted poster and red alerts, So if you don't eat enough, put it below. If you don't eat enough, it should be giving you a big warning sign. You're imbalancing your body's hormones, right? So don't eat enough. I see the red alert emoji. That's hilarious. Yeah, it causes you to be weak sometimes. Oh, so many women who tell me they don't have energy and all of that's because they don't eat enough, right? Yeah. So okay, I know you guys get it. So we don't eat enough. I know a lot of that's coming in. The next thing I'm going to talk about is you need to have right macros. Okay. So the difference between right calories and right macros is one is quantity and macros is quality. Quality, right combination of protein, carbs, and fat is extremely important. Okay. Knowing how to combine your macros together, even though I would say when you're younger, I would say it's probably less important. It's true. I think when you're younger, your body just has all this protection and ways of doing stuff and fast metabolism. When you're older, the reason why you really have to know how to combine your protein, carbs, and fat has a lot to do with insulin. All right. So I gave you some background in pillar number 1. Insulin is crucial. You become more insulin resistant as you age, means you actually do not respond as well to carbs. In fact, to be honest, as you age, your body does not respond to nutrition the same way. It does not uptake protein as well. It does not uptake carbs as well. It does not, there's a whole bunch of systemic situations that reduces your cellular response to nutrition. Okay. Some of it is going to be actually aging. And that's why as people age, they become more frail, all this type of stuff. But if you can control it, you should control it, right? So this is what I'm saying is you can control it by controlling better understanding of combination of protein, carbs, and fat. And so why do I say it's about insulin? Because insulin responds to carbs and responds to speed of entry of your carbs. So if you don't understand how to combine your macros together, okay, then you're going to spike your insulin in different ways that you don't want to, right? And this is why I speak about like you need to combine it like this and this and this, protein, carbs, and fat. How much percentages? I'm going to always get asked this. I cannot give you an amount right now. 50 eyeballs. How many different body types is in this 50 crowd right now? How many different backgrounds and body types and height and weight? Like, so it's not reasonable for me to give people macros like right off the bat. I have to know you, and I have to know, like we were just talking, Diana, I see all the thumbs up. Diana's a lot tinier than me. And so her macros are going to be different than me. Oshone's bigger than me. Like she's taller and she's like bigger, like more muscle. Like she's going to have a different macro than me. So everybody's macros are different, but you have to know what is going to work for you and understand the science behind how protein, carbs, and fat enters your body and the different responses that it has. Now, I just want to address, because I did see for a second there, somebody that has like a teary eye and some angry faces. So first of all, I just want to address this, that like is not meant to like make you upset. I want you to face the truth and then get the help you need. Okay. I did a mindset live 2 weeks ago regarding like being honest with yourself. If you have been struggling with a belly for 20 years, 15 years, or 5 years, I am calling you out in a really nice way. I'm calling you out because what are you doing? Why are you still struggling with a belly for 20 years? Like there is something you're not doing right? And you need to get the help you need. And so a lot of times I just want you to understand that what I'm trying to tell you is so that you start to think about, why have I not gotten the results that I have? Like, oh, I never even thought about like combining macros affects my insulin response. Now I'm telling you, right? So you should be like hopeful. You should be hopeful, but like, oh, awesome. I like understand this now, right? And have a positive mindset, because we're going to talk about mindset near the end about how this affects your hormones. So we don't want angry faces. We don't need to be sad. We just need to have hope. Okay. We need to have hope that there is possibility of change. We're sad about aging, changing our body's metabolism. Diana, was a good point. It's a good point, but we cannot stop aging natural grandfather clock. So there's no point to stress about it, because when we stress, cortisol spikes, and that is counterintuitive to why we want to bring down inflammation in our system, right? So, but yes, I know what you guys mean. So in terms of protein, carbs, and fat, if you don't understand how it needs to be combined, that is the next thing. So it goes in the sequence. You need to address inflammation. Then you need to get proper calories, and then you need to do proper macros. Awesome, Marcella. Yes, it's exciting that we can fix it. Exactly. Having that really positive mindset, right? So yeah, so like address inflammation, calories, and address macros. Okay. So how many of you feel like you need more help with macros? You need more help with macros. Put macros below. I'm 60 young, now 62. Awesome. Karen, thank you for calling me out. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you guys are taking that with grace, for sure. So if you need more help with macros, I want you to put macros below. Now, I want to put a point out there, and there's different people. There are even some trainers probably in here. There's different people with different certifications. That's awesome. If you know what you're doing, that's great. Okay. Like I cheer you on, because that's awesome. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to go through a lot of trial and error, and a lot of the trial and error is okay, but is it? So this is something you have to answer for me. Okay. All 50 eyeballs. I see lots of macros coming in. People want lots of help with macros. Is you have to answer this for yourself. If you do a lot of trial and error, you risk yo-yoing a lot. Okay. And is yo-yoing something you want? right? Is that what you want for yourself? If you're okay with that, then you do a lot of trial and error and a lot of like, don't know, maybe bomb this, no, try this and jump here. That creates a lot of instability in your body. But number two is if you trial and error, you could do it. It's just going to take time. And one of my mentors always says is like, well, you probably could do something that you really want to accomplish and takes you like 10 years or 15 years. And she was talking more about entrepreneurship, but it's kind of the same principle. You could take you 10, 15 years, or you can get help and accomplish it in 5 years. And I was like, oh, I'm going for the 5 years, man. I'm not going for the 15 years. Man, I want to be living my life by 15 years down the road. And so I think it's just, you have to ask yourself, how long do you want to take to trial and error? Or do you want to get the help of someone who has that experience, who understands the principles behind macro combination and the ranges you need to sit and why? Why I say this is because if you don't fully understand hormonal profiling, by what basis are you adjusting your macros? How do you understand what happens to your hormones when protein and fat enters your body? What happens when fat and carbs enter your body? What about when carbs and fat enter your body? Do you understand what hormone actually gets secreted? So if you don't, by what basis are you adjusting your macros, right? So I'm just saying that you can trial and error, but I honestly think if you are struggling for a long time, you need to get some guidance on what your macros are to get it more dialed to you. Now, a lot of my clients who've done macros, they say, oh, it's relatively simple now, right? Because someone calculated it for you and gave it to you on the program. That's why all my clients were like, oh, okay, I'm on my macros now. And we might adjust a little bit, but someone already thought about all the factors behind that to give you your macros, right? So that customization of macros is very crucial. Yeah, Diana says, yes, you're answering someone. Yeah, will help you get past the plateau. Yeah, and Diana's incredible. She looks amazing. Just amazing. I just met with her yesterday. Her body is the muscle definition, the tone in her body. And I think, Diana, if I'm correct, you correct me, but you struggled with the belly for quite a while too, if I'm correct, like for 10 years. And then finally, when we worked together, the belly finally dropped. So again, if you have already put macros, I know tons of people are putting macros above, but if you know you need guidance on macros, put macros below. Okay, so that's step number 3. So we have 1, address chronic inflammation. Number 2, get the right calories and macros. Okay, calories and then macros. Okay, now number 3. Okay, number 3. So number 3, I said this with Dana yesterday, with Stacy Carpenter, who's also in the transformation program now. It is pillar 3 because actually pillar 1, 2 is more important, in my opinion, first. It needs to be there first. Pillar 3 is also important though. Okay, so we're going to get to it now. You have to have muscle building programs. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, not just any exercise program, but a muscle building program specifically to build muscle and hypertrophy. Now, strength is important too, don't get me wrong. I believe in strength and hypertrophy. And actually, if you get to know my programs, you actually realize a lot of it is strength hypertrophy training. It's both, because I believe in both. Because you need to, as you age, I want all of you to be stronger, but I also want you to have more muscle, okay? So why is this really important? Is as you age, your muscles are declining faster and faster. I did a live previously on sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the decline of muscles as you age. You will all experience that at some point, but we can hold off on the rate and speed of it, right? Oh, Drew, I just see that. Help me, please. Yes, Drew, we will reach out to you for sure, for sure. And Diana, thank you for answering about the belly. Yes, exactly. Okay, so sarcopenia is everybody who's going to start to lose muscle, but is that how fast will you lose muscle, right? And so you want to prevent the speed of atrophying of your muscles. So you need to work on resistance muscle building programs. And 1 pound of muscle, I said this before, burns 52 calories. 1 pound of fat burns 2 calories. So by helping you build, even if it was, 2-3 pounds of muscle more, you would have so much times the metabolism than not having muscle, right? Because 2 pounds or 2 calories to 50 calories is 25 times the burning potential, right? So this is why it's really crucial that you have proper muscle building programs that really works on muscle building, not just exercising. Okay. I'm not against exercise. And it sounds weird that like a fitness coach would say, like, not just exercise, because I do believe in exercise, just walking, yoga. I believe all that. And like, dancing. You're not surprised by that, are you? I believe in exercise. Okay. But what I'm saying specifically is for women aging, you have to pick up the weights and you have to train with resistance. You have to build muscle and you have to have the right methodology behind it. Dana asked me a really good question yesterday, and she was like, so like, what exactly is different? Like, what do you mean, like, you program muscle building programs? And I said, well, hypertrophy particularly, but I do believe in hypertrophy strength. So my programs kind of go in between. But because there's a big difference between training, just strength training, or power and speed. And so Dancing Queen, yes, Diana, Dancing Queen. I'm thinking of the song now. But yeah, so there's a big difference between that because, like in powerlifting, they're going to talk about like your one max rep and how many reps you're going to do at 75% of the one max rep, and then how you're going to deload and reload it. And there's like so many philosophies in the way you train. Now, I'm not going to really train most of you, unless you want to be a powerlifter, to have any of that formatting. My formatting of my workouts has to do with hypertrophy building of the muscle, right? Increasing the muscle size and the muscle base in your body. That's what I specialize in. But I can tell you, the reason why I know this well is because I'm always learning, and you guys know that. You see me go and do other things. I'm learning Olympic lifting, and I have a powerlifting coach as well. And obviously I trained a bodybuilding for 10 years. So the reason I can tell you the difference is because there is massive differences in the way you train, and the way you train, the way your program is programmed is going to determine your results. And so you want to make sure that the program you get is a muscle building program, hypertrophy, and maybe a little bit of strength. But, I would say like, if you can find one that kind of gives you both is good, because you kind of, okay, here, let's actually back up a little bit to give you guys context. Strength is very important. It is very important. So strength training is part of it. Okay. But strength training may not give you the shape and the size and the sculptedness. So if you come to me and you say, but Clarice, I want to have my butt. I want to still have like the nice shoulders. Okay, if that's what you want, you need a bodybuilding one. You need a hypertrophy one. But strength is very important. So obviously make sure that the programming you have or the person who's coaching you understands both. For me, I will put both. That's just always how I've always programmed in a way where it's like hypertrophy, but I want you to be strong. Oshoni, are you on here? Do you remember we always were training and I said, I don't want you to just look fit. I want you to actually be strong, because Oshoni has great muscle base, great shoulders naturally, but she had to work at her strength. She wasn't actually strong, but we worked on strength. So coming back to this, okay? So this point is you need to make sure you have the right programming for hypertrophy / strength training, okay? If you don't, I want you to put hypertrophy program below, because you need that, okay? And a lot of women need that. A lot of women are active, cardio, do stuff, all this, but they're not hypertrophying. So if you need hypertrophy program, put that below. And Oshone says, right. But now Oshone, because she's worked with me for so long, is both super strong and looks phenomenal with hypertrophy. So strength training, Iris, yeah. So put hypertrophy below if that is what you know you need guidance on, okay? That is number 3. Pillar number 4, okay? Pillar number 4 is what I mentioned earlier when there were a couple sad faces and all of that. And they're like, oh, why are we aging? I don't like that. My hormones are changing. Why do women go through more than the men? You know, I mean, men go through they go through andropause, but it's just a little less severe than the woman for sure. So I see lots of hypertrophy coming in. Awesome. We will reach out to you. So make sure you guys check your messenger, okay, afterwards. Okay. So number 4 is about reducing cortisol. Okay. So reducing cortisol is many things together. So this is why it's like one point on its own. It's actually largely to do with, like, if we've already addressed inflammation and nutrition, it's mindset. Okay. Mindset, because mindset and lifestyle factors, actually both, but mindset is a huge component of it, right? Like, for example, we're like worrying, like we're aging, and you're upset, and you always get frustrated. Cortisol is going to spike in your system, right? And cortisol is a hormone you don't want. Not often. You want it when you're running away from the bear. You want a little bit when you get up in the morning, okay? Because it helps you get up. But you don't want chronic cortisol, okay? Chronic cortisol creates massive havoc in your system. Cortisol is known as the belly depositing hormone, okay? So there's a lot of reasons behind this. So I'm going to give you some reasons and then why we need to work on mindset. So if you actually, I'm kind of curious, how many of you know you struggle with mindset? Put mindset below. If you struggle with mindset, put mindset below. Okay. Because sometimes I've met clients who actually are pretty good with their food. And they're actually pretty good with their exercise, but there's something going on right here, mindset. And so I know that this is actually true for a lot of women. Mindset, Monica says, exactly. Tracy, yes, Tracy, mindset, I do agree. I coach her in the MA, and we have been talking a lot about that. Jennifer, much better. Jennifer, you're much better with mindset now. So as this is coming in, yes, Lisa, mindset, I know we're working on it. Work in progress, always all of us, a work in progress. Okay, so let's talk about cortisol. So cortisol impacts insulin. So do you remember above I told you how it's important that we have proper response to insulin? Okay, so here is a little bit more science for you, all of you hormone geeks who wants to learn more about hormones, which that's me too, I'm a hormone geek, is that if you have prolonged cortisol in your system, cortisol sends a signal for your body to release sugar into the bloodstream for immediate emergency, like you need to run from that bear. So what does that mean? That cortisol spike in your system actually now shuts off your insulin response. Your cells closes it. Oh, what did I say earlier? If your cells closes its doors to insulin, that is a sign of insulin resistance. So what am I saying? If you constantly spike your cortisol, you are creating a situation where you're shutting off the cellular response to insulin, which means you're potentially going to develop insulin resistance, and then sugar is going to start to move into your bloodstream, which is not healthy, dangerous, but your body is a survival mechanism. So it's going to figure out something to do with it. Number one, it's going to bring in all, like CSI theme here, all of the detectives and white blood cells and inflammatory responses. There's too much sugar in my body. So what did you just do? You spiked your inflammation like crazy because you got stressed. You got upset. Cortisol went through the roof. Now you created potential insulin resistance. You created massive inflammatory response. There's more to this story. You like my storytelling? I'm sort of being sarcastic, but Clarice was a school teacher before, so I can tell stories. But it spikes your inflammation up, okay? Spikes your inflammation up. Now, your body has to decide, what are we going to do with this sugar? Is like criminal alert, too much sugar running around in this community. They're going to take all that and put it right to your belly. And ta-da, you now have a belly. And it adds more and more to your belly and more to your visceral fat. And more, and it grows more, and then it is a vicious cycle because visceral fat starts to produce more inflammatory markers from the visceral area. And so this is crazy, right? So like when you think about this entire cycle, you're like, oh my gosh, this is not worth it to get stressed. Exactly. Don't get stressed. You know, everything I say on this live, don't be upset. Don't get angry. Just do something about it, right? And I'm calling out you in a nice way because Marisol, if you're on here, I know we had a conversation, and she told me this, and she said, like, you know, she's been struggling for many years. And her mom said to her, like, she was telling her mom about like, just like her, just the, you know, her weight issue. And her mom turns to her and is like, so what are you doing about it? So I was like, wow, your mom is like right on the dot there. So it's like, don't get upset. Just what are you doing about it, right? Like don't spike your cortisol. What are you doing to make the changes that you need to make, right? So horror story. I'm telling a horror story. Well, I guess so, I suppose, but it's a horror story with hope. There's hope behind it, right? So yeah, so with all that I've mentioned to you, I just want you to understand, of course, it's even more complex, but it's kind of like I'm trying to simplify it to you so you understand the correlations between cortisol, insulin, visceral fat, and inflammatory responses in your system, okay? So if you are easily stressed, or you self-sabotage a lot, or you get into your brain a lot, this is where I'm going to say you need to learn to control your mindset and get some guidance on mindset. Sometimes mindset is a skill. And I tell you, I've been mentored for 10 years. And that's where a lot of my mindset comes from. I've had mentors and coaches work with me on mindset. And so it's like, it's a skill, just like you have a skill of learning how to like lift weights or ride a bike or drive a car. Mindset is not something like you're just born with and you just have good mindset. Anybody you meet who has good mindset, they've worked very consistently on it and they're very intentional about it, right? So like I said, if you know you're not good with mindset and you tend to self-sabotage a lot and you know you need more guidance on that, put mindset below or put self-sabotage. You could put mindset or self-sabotage, okay? Sorry, you guys have a lot coming in. I maybe not reading it. This is so interesting. Good analogy, easier to understand. Good. You love the analogies. Good. It's the teacher in me. Oh yeah, I saw the horror story. All these detectives are in my belly. Well, I'm glad you guys are picking up on my story. I feel like someone should be illustrating my story one day. I should do a children's book about this. And then like we do these illustrations. It would be awesome. Cindy says inflammatory markers, right? Okay, so yes, we'll reach out to you, Cindy, in regards to this. Now, I want to add one more thing about number 5, controlling mindset, controlling cortisol. So I said mindset's part of it, but another part of controlling cortisol is lifestyle factors, like making sure you get enough sleep and getting enough sleep and drinking your water, you know, some of these baseline lifestyle things, which I think a lot of you may have on track. But I will say, if you struggle with sleep, how many of you struggle with sleep? Because I hear this quite often. If you struggle with sleep, sometimes it's mindset for sure. But a lot of times, if you don't sleep properly, it's actually because your nutrition is off. And I'm just going to go back and point at number 1. If your inflammation is super high, you could potentially struggle with sleeping and circadian rhythms. Cortisol actually disrupts circadian rhythm. So you want to make sure that you control cortisol, right? Mindset, but also inflammation in your system to make sure you sleep better as well. Okay. Yeah, some of you struggle with sleep. I know quite a bit of you struggle with sleep. So sleep is very related to nutrition and inflammation. And then the other part of it is well, I mean, they all relate, to be honest. Exercise improves your circadian rhythm, and then managing your cortisol improves your sleep if you can manage your cortisol well, right? So you always have weird dreams. Yeah, you never get enough sleep. Drew. Yeah. So sleep is another one that I think the thing with number 4, I just want you to keep in mind, okay, that you do need to address cortisol as well. And that's another thing, like within a program, why I work holistically in like inflammation, macros, calories, macros, and then addressing like lifestyle factors and cortisol and mindset. Like all my MAs, all my muscle accelerators, we're working a lot on a mindset, right? Like most of them, not all. I know a few of you that don't, but like Tracy, Debbie, Joanne, all of you in MA, we work a lot on mindset because that's kind of like the 4th thing. Like I could have taught you macros in the transformation program. I could have taught you these things and workout and like transformation, but like to make sure you keep going and like make sure that that like system is calm is to address mindset. Okay. Awesome. So yes, if you need help with mindset, put mindset below. All right, we're going to do number 5 now. Number 5. All right, number 5, like a broken record, it's coming back at ya. Just like I said in my DNA methodology. Number 5 is having structured systems and accountability. Structures, systems, and accountability. Okay. Now, I want to talk about this in a way that makes sense to all of you, all right? Because we're talking so much about hormones and reducing the belly fat and all of that. So why you need structure systems is it helps reduce guessing and it helps reduce just basing it off of your emotions, right? Emotions are good indicators, but poor dictators. Right. So you can't just go off of your emotions and be like, I feel like I'm not changing. Is that correct, Oshone? You're helping the ladies in the FFF program. And sometimes they say, I don't know if I'm changing. And you're like, look at your pictures, look at your metrics, right? And so we cannot depend on just guessing to get our results. Okay. So there's a phrase that I like, which says you can't change what you don't track. Okay. Oh, awesome, Jennifer. I'm glad you're learning. That's so awesome. You're welcome. So you can't change what you don't track. Okay. So remember that phrase. If you don't track things, how are you able to make the tweaks and the changes that you need? How are you going to dial your calories and your macros, like I mentioned above? How are you going to progressively overload your training and weight training, like I said above, right? So you can't track, you can't change what you don't track. And it's something, it's my journey as well that I've learned as well is I'll be transparent, like in my business is like we started realizing, my angels know this, is like, oh, we got to track a lot better if we want to do better, you know? So I mean, I'm saying it like I realize like in everything, calories, macros, workouts, everything, you need to track if you want better results. Okay. You can't just guess and guesstimate. Okay. And so and also, I'm going to also put this out there. I know that a lot of you who are listening, you guys know you're in menopause or you're about to go into menopause. There are too many moving parts right now in your system for you to leave it up by chance. Okay. Maybe when you're in your 20s, you could do it, and 30s, you could do it. But you just heard me talk about all the different hormones that are happening in your body that are shifting. So if you don't track and you don't have structure systems to help you with it, it's just a guessing game. You're just throwing mud against the wall and hoping it sticks, right? So this is why you need structure systems, okay? Now, another thing I want you to keep in mind, why do I say structure systems and accountability? Is ultimately because of consistency. All right, you guys, this word consistency, I know it could sound boring, but I always say consistency is sexy because consistency produces results. Yeah, consistency produces results because if you have the best macro knowledge and you have the best workout, but you do not have consistency, you and I know you will not be successful in the long run. And in order to reduce belly fat, I want to come back to the topic is the secret to your flat stomach. The secret to your flat stomach requires amazing consistency in your nutrition and reducing inflammatory markers and sticking long enough to the proper macros and calories to produce the result. Because past the inflammation, reducing visceral fat is an incremental situation. All of you who have gone through my program know that you reduce your visceral fat little by little, 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 right? So you have to stay consistent, okay? Even though for a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's not like as interesting as inflammation or macros. I'm telling you, if you don't have consistency and structured programs, you're throwing it up in the air, and then it's like yo-yoing, right? I'm going to start the program. I'm going to not do the program. I'm going to be on. I'm going to be off. I'm going to be good for 2 months. Then I'm going to be off. I'm going to be good for 1 year. Then I'm off the next year. And like I said, your body cannot afford yo-yoing at this point. It cannot afford yo-yoing at this point because there's too many things happening in your body. So this is why you need structure, systems, and accountability. Okay. One more thing about structure, systems, and accountability. Yeah, you love consistency. And Jennifer is an incredible example. She is so consistent. You are one of my most consistent clients, Jennifer. Give her lots of hearts. She's been so consistent throughout her program, and just a testament to you, right? Now, another thing about structure, systems, accountability, and about hormones, okay? The last thing I'm going to say about this is when you have structure, systems, and accountability, you have peace of mind, okay? And you can't buy peace of mind. Peace of mind is priceless. Yeah. Like I always say, like peace of mind when you don't have to worry. Oh, it's just so beautiful, right? Because when you have peace of mind that you know you're doing something right, you're on the right system, you have the right guidance, you're not worrying so much, you're not like half guessing, is this right, is it not? And what does that do when you worry? Cortisol, right? Anxiety goes up. And so when you have peace of mind that you're on a structure system that you don't have to guess anymore, neither do you have to really worry about calories and macros, because guess whose responsibility that is? Your coach. So you don't even have to like worry all this stuff anymore. You start going like, oh, awesome. I'm just going to like follow this program. I'm just going to have and understand, like, I'm going to learn the things I need to learn. And that peace of mind really controls your cortisol. And that controlling cortisol is a big proponent of bringing down your belly. Because if you can reduce cortisol, those of you who are listening, I know the hormone geeks are like, wow, there's so much hormone talk. I love it. This is making all the hormone geeks really excited. Is that if you reduce cortisol, you give more chance for your sex hormones to be excreted, because there's a pathway where it comes down from the brain and then it goes, decide, do you want to make estrogen, testosterone, or cortisol? And if your system says, I'm really stressed, it's going to go cortisol. And then you'll have less estrogen and testosterone. So if you want more estrogen, you want more testosterone, you're not going to have a lot of testosterone, but you know what I mean, and more sex hormones, and you don't want as much cortisol, then you have to control cortisol so you have more estrogen in your body. Interesting, hey? Like another flip on the hormone situation. So this is why I say structure, systems, and accountability is so important, okay? If you know you need structures, systems, and accountability, I want you to put it below. You can put structure or systems, or you can put accountability. Put structure, systems, and accountability below, okay? So Samita, you said, I have to listen to replay. Yeah, no problem. You can definitely, we'll tag you on the replay. And Tracy said, guilty as charged, need to work on my consistency. But you've improved a lot, Tracy. I'm so proud of you. Like these past few weeks, you've just gone up. So it's awesome. So put structure, systems, and accountability if you know this is what you need. And even though this is pillar number 5, or like the step number 5, I am going to say that, like I said in my talk with Dana, Stacy, Carpenter, Marisol, all of you who are in the transformation program right now, it's the bow that ties it together, okay? If you don't have structure, systems, accountability, you know, your macros fly this way, your workout flies this way, but they are not working synergistically together. Your magic is when they work synergistically together. They work together, including mindset. It's everything together wrapped in a bow that makes it come alive, right? And so it's like that's what a lot of people are missing is structure, systems, accountability, and not staying consistent long enough on that, right? So yes, put the structure, systems, accountability if that is what you need. And Tracy, that's why I'm here. She's in my MA program, and we've gotten her back on track a lot better now, Tracy. And I see Cynthia, I see you put structure, systems, and accountability. Awesome. All right, so those are the 5 steps to a flatter stomach. So I'm going to just quickly, like, just give the Cole's note really quickly. Number 1, reduce chronic inflammation in your system. That means identifying inflammatory markers and taking those down. Number 2 is know your calories and macros customized to your body. Okay. Customized to your body, not just some random generic thing given to you. Okay. Know your calories and your macros. Number 3, have muscle building programs focused on hypertrophy training, and some strength is good, but ultimately the program has to do with building muscle on your body. Okay. Number 4, learn to reduce cortisol through controlling your mindset and managing your lifestyle factors like sleep and stress and all of that. Number 5, have a structure, systems, and accountability to help you put everything together so you can work at it synergistically. Okay, so I'm hoping this made a lot of sense to all of you. I speak with a lot of confidence because I've done this for so many women, hundreds of women, and this is the formula that is going to get you to reduce that belly to like flat. Okay. And so if you are watching on here and you haven't indicated help, or you know you want to learn more about our programs, please put programs below or help, and we will reach out to you. And I will say 2 more things, last thoughts. Number 1, reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. And I'm going to quote Stacy Carpenter, who just entered the transformation program. She says, when a woman actually takes care of herself, it is the greatest sign of strength. And I was like, wow, I love that, Stacy. That's why she's in the transformation program. And so, invest in yourself, and don't look at things like, oh, like it's just a cost. It's just a cost. No, invest in yourself. Know that whatever you put in will benefit you for a lifetime, because you're changing everything systematically from the bottom up, and actually slowing down your aging process, right? And that is priceless, to slow down your aging process, to have more longevity, to have more happiness and long-term time with your family and grandkids. Like, this is so important. And I really hope more of you truly take what I say here to heart, and don't be infobese. Time to apply. Okay, awesome. So sending you guys all lots of hearts. And if this was helpful, again, please put some comments below what you liked or what you enjoyed about tonight's live. And if you think it's useful, please invite others to the group or tag others on this live. Obviously, I do believe that I can help a lot of women, hundreds and not thousands of women, that you can see. And I think a lot of women in menopause don't know these things. And so, yeah, just keep spreading the good word, and I will see you guys all next week. Love you all.